Y'all, today is a gorgeous morning. We got rain yesterday, maybe like a couple inches, and it is a great time to plant some plants if you have just gotten rain. But one thing that I've been waiting on in particular is to divide a hosta that I situated it in the incorrect place earlier this spring. It got burnt to a crisp. I need to move it, and I am also standing on a brand new flower bed. I'll show y'all the steps that I took to make it, but we need to finish it off, right? We need to define the edges, and we're also going to plant some plants in it. So let's get going. We could also say hi to Hank, who's obviously been rolling in the mud. Rolling in the mud, honey. Yeah. So other day, Hank and I had quite the adventure because his whole mane, I don't know where he got him, but he managed to get his entire mane full of cockleburrs and his tail. So we spent a good hour getting all those out of his hair, and then the wind blew through the trees, or he sensed a disturbance in the atmosphere because he sat back and ripped the lead rope off of the trailer and then took off running, stepped on my foot, and just had himself a bit of a scare. Still unknown why, but you know, that's Hank, the spookiest horse alive. Sometimes we just get scared. All right, y'all, this may not look like much, but this is a flower bed, or it's going to be, and this is what we're going to be working in today. So we're at the base of a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous American elm. This is one of my favorite trees on this property. I think it's absolutely glorious. And I've decided to make a small shade flower bed right underneath it. So a couple weeks ago, I came through with old hay, which is down there, and then wood chips, and then obviously all the leaves are falling on top of it. So this is going to be excellent for the soil underneath this tree. The reason that I chose to put hay right here is because I'm on a little bit of a slope, right? And this American elms absolutely love extra water. I wanted something a little bit bulkier to hold these wood chips in place. I wanted to be able to build it up really thick, not just with wood chips, but with that second layer that will hold the wood chips in place when it rains. So I don't normally bring hay into the flower bed because it's typically full of weed seed, which is fine. Like, they're germinating and they'll probably go away by next year. I'm not really worried about that. I just wanted to be able to build this up really thick around the root bed of this elm to try to hold in the moisture, because we were in a bit of a drought. And I could see that a lot of its roots were being exposed by the dirt washing away when we were getting all that rain earlier this year. So that's why I came in with the hay. Like I said, not typical, but I think that it was a good choice for this area. What I didn't do was define my edge, and that is what we're going to do real quick before we start planting our plants in here, one of which is going to be that hosta. First, though, we got to address all of this business. That's not really good for those at this time. They got rained on and now they're sitting in water. So we need to just take a look at that real quick and dump all that water out. Check on everything after the big storm yesterday. If you're following what I do, which is use these trays that don't drain. Here, let me show you. This is a 72 count seed starting tray. It's the bottom tray in which these smaller guys like this, they sit down in it. This doesn't have holes, it doesn't drain. That's kind of the point, is when you're starting seeds, they can wick water up from the bottom, which is the best way to irrigate your seeds when you're seed starting. But the thing with this kind of plastic is that, you know, all plastic has a lifespan, right? It doesn't last forever. And when they're full of water like this, I've learned the hard way that if I don't pick it up right, when it's full of water, it flexes and cracks down the middle, and now I don't have the use of that tray anymore because now it's not watertight. So I try to be really careful when I'm coming along and dumping these, that I'm trying to be careful because I try to make my stuff last as long as possible. But it's important if you're doing propagation or anything like that, or if your plants are sitting in watering trays that don't drain, that after a rain, you come by and take a look at those, because they got a big drink yesterday from the rainfall. And if they sit in water like that, they will not be happy with us whatsoever. These are all Ageratina propagations. This is all mistflower propagations. If you're taking material from a plant and trying to propagate it, sometimes you propagate it, right? You stick it in the medium and then you water it from the bottom and you see new growth within 4 or 5 days. And you're like, oh wow, roots. That's not usually what's going on. It's just forcing new growth from the water that it's sitting in. But as the weeks go by, you'll generally be able to see which ones are going to survive and which ones are not, and which ones are just kind of like, I call it faking it. When you see that new growth getting pushed right after propagation, they're just faking it. They didn't really root. But this has been several weeks ago. We need to carefully take some of these out so that we can dump this water. But these I propagated weeks ago, and almost all of them are still green. So I don't think they're faking it. I think they're rooting. I don't see roots coming out the bottom of any of these yet. And this kind of material from the Fragrant Mistflower, which is what these are all Fragrant Mistflower right here, this whole tray. Usually that material takes longer to root when you're using late summer, early fall material versus that spring stuff. The growth that you're getting in the spring, brand new, fresh growth, it roots extremely quickly. But this stuff just takes a little bit longer to get going. Look at these rock rose. They are just working their little butts off. Beautiful. We are gonna need a hoe for part of this project. Oh, and look what I got at Tractor Supply the other day. This was half off. Deer and rabbit resistant wildflower mix. I don't deal really with either one. We have some bunnies every now and then. I don't have any deer whatsoever. But I've never seen this yellow bag before, so I figured I'd pick it up. It looks like it's got all kinds of cool stuff in there. Zinnia, Cosmos, Lupin, Basil, Marigold, Verbena, Columbine, Shasta Daisies, Black-Eyed Susan, Monarda, Giant Hyssop, Sage, and Yarrow. Don't that look pretty? I'm very excited for that. I gotta figure out where to put that though, because I'd kind of like to sow it right now since it's got some perennials in it. There's one tool. Let's go get that other. Let's go find our edging tool. Doesn't this just make you, like if you are really into gardening, oh, this makes me so happy to see this leaf layer full of all kinds of different sizes and shapes of leaves just sitting here breaking down, breaking down, breaking down. Nothing makes me happier. Okay, our edging tool is still over here from last week's project. Look at this, y'all. Remember how we come over here and we planted all these Caryopteris and the Mistflower plugs? This little devil is gonna bloom. She's loaded. These are South Africa, Sunbelt South Africa roses. I can't wait until that opens. I will show y'all because the weather is still looking good for the next several weeks. So this is gonna bloom here, 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 here. Like, she's loaded. She absolutely loved that rain. I cannot wait to see what that is, what that looks like. All right, y'all, here is, whoopsie. Here's what this tool is and what it's for. This is a hand edger, or a half moon edger as it's sometimes called. And this is how I make the edge to my flower bed. Like, if you'll notice, all of these flower beds are set right in the middle of what is almost exclusively a Bermuda lawn. I'm trying to get buffalo grass in there, but I don't know how much of it is taking. And the way I start that process is by removing a lot of the grass by hand and then making a very sharp and very deep vertical edge between the lawn and the flower bed. All I'm doing is I'm coming to the edge of where I put the mulch, because I made the mulch and hay about the size of the flower bed that I wanted. And then I just kick it forward like that. And I'm gonna go in a big circle just like that, pry it and kick it away so that I'm parting the grass from the flower bed. Now we have a clear separation between the lawn and this new flower bed, and I'll be able to hit it with a string trimmer next year to keep the grass out of the flower bed. This little ledge is extremely important for that process, and for it to be straight up and down, and for it to be, I don't know, 2-3 inches deep. Okay, our edge is done for the most part. Let me show it to you, and then we will go grab our plants that we are going to plant in here. Here's our edge. Here's Maple. Hey, sweetie. So here's our edge. Goes all the way around. I did hit some pretty big tree roots along the way, so I wasn't able to get very deep in some places, but that's the kind of edge that I'm looking for. It's not perfect and it's not straight. I'll clean it up again next spring, but just generally speaking, I like for the edges to look something like this. Just very clean, and I come along here with a string trimmer and hit it, and since it rained, it will need that again. I'll need to come pull some of these little tiny weeds out of here, but for the most part, this is how I do the edges on all my flower beds, and they all start with that half moon trimmer, which you can get on Amazon. Okay, we are gonna be planting some of my propagations in this grand scheme that I have, and I think I'd like to do these 1, 2, 3 Mistflower. Okay, y'all, here's the plan. Stay with me. Let me just break it down for you. So I'm facing west. In the summertime, the sun comes through here. So I want to plant the Mistflower on that side of the tree, because on the other side of the tree, I'm going to try this Hosta again. I think the Hosta was just getting too much afternoon sunlight. It immediately fried and disappeared around the July time frame. I know it's still alive because I can see little greenness at the very base of the plant. We'll go dig it up here in a second. But I don't want it to get hit by that strong afternoon sunlight. I want it to be protected from wind. So these Mistflower get big. If I let them just do their thing, we're talking like easily 6 by 6. So I think that will be, and they can take whatever. They can take whatever. Part shade, full sun, probably not full shade. They won't flower very well, but that strong afternoon sunlight is going to help them flower the way that they need to. I have another Mistflower, like my favorite Mistflower, in the exact same light conditions, and it is one of the biggest and most beautiful ones that I have in the garden. So I think the 3 of these making a little ring right here will help with that strong afternoon sun coming through here, because I'm going to put the Hosta like right there. So let's go get our shovel and we will dig up our Hosta. And normally I'm a very big believer in transplanting and dividing things in the spring, but I figure, like, why not go for it? It's literally not present in this flower bed whatsoever. It's almost like in a dormant state because it was so unhappy. So I figure we're just gonna go for it. We're gonna do an experiment. We're gonna see if it needs division. I think it might need a division. If it doesn't, we'll just plop the whole thing down in there. I just need to get it up out of the ground to see what kind of shape it's in. So we need our little shovel. Kind of hard to see what I'm seeing, but there's a Hosta. Do you see that little drip nozzle thing right next to the holly fern? Right there. There was a Hosta right there, and it has gone totally dormant. Let me pop it up out of the ground and show y'all what it looks like. Speaking of, there's some of our tree propagations. Some of them have quit and gone brown, but some of them are pushing new growth, and during the tug test, they're stuck in there. So I think we have roots, especially on the Possum Hall Holly. Those did real good. And then I think I have roots on a couple of them toothache trees or prickly ash that we propagated. That's been several weeks ago. So let me get in here and pop this guy up out of the ground. It probably will not have set very many roots at all. It was not happy. It just, I knew by about the, this is germander. I knew by about the July time frame that I had made a really bad decision, but at that time of the summer, it's just not smart to be trying to move things, at least not things that you want to keep anyway. So I've been just kind of waiting on the right opportunity, and since we got all that rain and we're due for more, and we also have much cooler temperatures, I think we're well positioned to move this guy. yeah, we didn't root in whatsoever. This poor thing. Those aren't hosta roots. Those are germander, which I have like crazy in this flower bed. Germander, like if you saw this, you'd think, oh, she has mint. No, I don't. I have germander. Which is a native and it's fine. And I think it's really pretty when it blooms, but it is so crazy. We'll just bury that little emitter. We'll come by with something else right here. Later next year. Look here. So remember how I said I've been, like, I know it's alive. Do you see that? How hosta do those little, almost claw-shaped things when they're emerging from the soil? I know that this thing's alive, but this is much what the root ball looked like when I planted it. Poor thing. It just was so stressed. Now that I have this in my hand, I don't think I'm going to divide it. I don't think it needs it. We have these are all little growth points right here, and I'm only looking at like this. If I had a hosta that was like this, I'd consider dividing it, but I'm not going to in this case. We're just going to get it into its new home, watered in. And this is a wind beneath my wings hosta. These get, when they're full size, happy, mature, established, right conditions, 6 to 7 feet wide. So this is a huge hosta, and it was a very good looking hosta when I planted it. I just didn't make a good choice. That happens. Life goes on. I'm just fluffing these roots out because they were still in the shape of the pot. Oh, okay, let's plant this sucker. Okay, y'all, here are my thoughts for where we're gonna put this. There's a dormant redbud baby tree right here. What I'm kicking, you can't see it anymore. It's completely typical for redbuds to have no leaves left this time of year. They stay pretty darn stressed during our summers unless they're grown as an understory type. Like this is an eastern redbud, right? Not a Texas redbud. An eastern redbud, it really likes some protection from our summer sun. It can just be brutal on them. Like if their root system is baking in the summer sun, if their tops are baking in the summer sun, sometimes that can be hard on them. Here, where it just doesn't rain consistently enough for them, the temperatures don't cool down at night, it's so intensely hot. They're much more suited and they look gorgeous in the eastern half of our state, but here in like the north central area, they do kind of struggle. So I'm trying this redbud underneath this American elm as an understory type tree, and I think it's going to be very happy here. Time will tell, you know, sometimes things don't work out obviously the way that we thought, but the dogs run through here, so I don't really want to do anything right there. And I want this to be really sheltered, and it gets pretty darn big, so maybe we'll just maybe we'll go for broke and put it right here. Hopefully I don't encounter a whole lot of tree roots. I gotta actually get to the freaking soil here. Let me bring you closer. There we go. We'll find our soil layer. And as I'm touching this soil, I'm really glad that I didn't overdo it on this hay. I think we were just right. And this is just not porous, but the rain can hit this and still come through to the soil underneath. Obviously, it's very muddy under here. Sometimes you can mulch so thickly with any material that the rainwater is not able to hit the soil underneath your mulch because you've made too thick of a cap with your mulch, and then everything just stays dry underneath, and it's not good. But I'm happy to see that this dirt's real wet, which lets me know I didn't go too thick. I was kind of worried about that. Well, that was easy. Let's pack our dirt in around this guy. And we will not expect to see any kind of hey, hello, how are you from this hosta until next spring. I will not be looking for him to do anything of importance this year, obviously. Let's plant these guys. Should be very easy planting with these also. These are my own propagations. I guess I was feeling lazy because some of these have 2 plants in there, which is like, it's whatever. I'll put it in the ground just like that. I'm not worried at all. And like I said, this is a fragrant mistflower, Ageratina havanensis. And it is an exceptional native plant if you live in my area of Texas. They do so phenomenally well, and they smell so good when they're blooming. They bring so many pollinators. It's definitely, if not my favorite, it's definitely up there. It's just an incredible plant, incredibly tough. And hopefully, you know, the more that we plant under this elm, the more soil we'll be able to hold in place for the elm. Here we go. That's all she wrote. Oh, before y'all go, let me show you this real quick because it's just making me laugh. It is November 21st. And my almond verbena is doing a big bloom. Look at all those butterflies up there. Having some brunch. I mean, look at him. New buds all over. I love this tree. I absolutely love this tree. Y'all have a great weekend. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful Thanksgiving.